Thank you to all of our colleagues already very active in the chat. Now that we've come to a few minutes past the session, we'll formally begin. I'd like to welcome everybody to the return of the Coaching Masterclass with professional certified international coach Shana Ring. We're very excited to have you back. My name is Bevan. I'm a part of the capacity development team for the United Nations Volunteers. I'm just going to do a quick introduction. I won't take up too much time, and I will soon pass over to Shana to begin with the session. So I'd like to remind everyone that this is a follow-up to a session that we recently had a couple months ago. We will be carrying right on from that session. So if you did miss the last session, what I'm doing right now is I'm posting in the chat an eCampus link. Please see the eCampus link to see some information about the course, but more importantly, for the recording of the last session. That is now, colleagues, right in the chat for you there. Please feel free to log in and watch that recording after this session to catch up on anything that you've missed. Thank you all very much. I'd also like to mention that this particular session, as with all of our sessions provided by the capacity development team, is strictly for learning purposes for your enrichment. If you do have any support queries or technical issues with assignments with your eCampus in particular, please reach out to this email that I'm now putting into chat, support@unv.org. Okay, so to do a quick introduction, I'd like to remind everyone that the closed captions are functioning on the Zoom. If that facilitates your enjoyment of the session, makes it easier for you to understand. And I'd like to very briefly talk about some of the objectives that we have for the session today. So last time when we left off, we were talking about coaching through workplace change and transition. It's my understanding that we're going to start right back off where we left off there, learning a little bit more about what coaching is specifically for some of us who may have missed it. So I'll soon pass over to Shana for her to tell us more about that. And I'd also like to remind everyone, please, in the chat, ask questions if you'd like to. Please turn on your cameras so that we can see you, we can engage with you. Shana herself is an incredibly engaging presenter, and we're hoping the same from all of our participants. So I will now pass over to Shana to talk to you a bit more about the session today, and thank you all so much for joining.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Bevan. I'm just going to share my screen here with everyone. It's so nice to see so many people. Wonderful. And I'm coming to you, folks, from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. So a long ways away. It's always a pleasure, and I really enjoyed the last time that we were together. So we'll talk a little bit about developing that coaching mindset in times of change and uncertainty. And the mindset that I want to share with you and what we talked about last time is really just a way of being. It's, somebody knocks on your door, a friend, a colleague, somebody in your house, they want some help from you. The coaching mindset is to really give the person a chance to be able to wrestle around with their idea so that they're the ones doing the thinking and we're not. We're not working so hard. We're really supporting them to do the thinking and have the ownership. So as a UN volunteer, I usually just start with a quick icebreaker. So we have a lot of people on the call today, but if you want to put into your chat, what I'd like you to do is, what's one good thing about being a UN volunteer? What's one good thing? Let's just start off with that. One good thing, and we'll read out a few of them. We won't read out them all. What do we have here? It's one good thing. Agile community. Nice. Or you could use your voice too. Good atmosphere and work environment, right on. What else do we have? Supportive team, career development, engaging with colleagues, diverse experiences, community, trust, tangible impacts, right on. Making tangible impacts of working with Japanese people. Right on. Exposure. Okay. So those are some great words. So, if I can ask you to do one more thing, think about today and where you are. So what's a word that describes where you are today? How you're feeling? Just one word. And the hat. Exposure, gaining international experience, advocacy at a high level. Right on. What are some words that describe where are you at today? I am excited. What about Bevan? What's your word?
Anticipation for me personally.
Anticipation. Nice. Hopeful. Let's see here. Flexible, proud, new challenge, uncertainty. Okay. Let's see here. Fortunate, diligent, finding comfort in the uncertainty, enjoyment, awesome, right on. Okay. So that's how I like to start any of my coaching sessions with anyone. It's really about what kind of mindset do we have at this minute? If our mindset is open and curious and hopeful, like some of those other words, we can learn, right? And so one of the challenges is if our brain is not feeling good, if we're not feeling good, it's hard for us to be able to learn and take in information. So we talked a little bit about that last time. What we didn't do last time is talk about what is coaching and what is not. So that's what I want to start with today, is from your experience, when you think about coaching, the word coaching, I want you to think about what it is from your own adventures in the world, and what it is not. So I'm wondering if people could come off of mute. The voices work, right, Bevan?
Yes, everyone should be able
Everybody,
to come
okay.
off of mute.
Okay. So if you want to come off of mute or put into the chat, what is coaching and what is not? We want to put together a list and think about just the distinction. Okay, what's going on here? Whiteboard. Oh, it doesn't look like I can do that. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to use this one. Oh yeah, use Whiteboard Classic. Okay, I got it. I'm on board. Can everybody see the whiteboard? Okay, so let's start talking about that. And maybe you can help me, Bevan. When we have some things coming in the chat, it's okay. So we've got
One of our colleagues has said that lighting the way is an example of what coaching is.
okay. So lighting the way. I love that one. Shine the light, right? What else do we have here? Lighting the way.
We have inspiration and influencing.
Okay. What else do we have? Inspiring. Oh, we've got that one. Let's see. Guiding. And that's a really important word, guiding. We're guiding people's thinking, right? We're guiding them to move forward, to think, to build capacity. Guiding's a great word. What else? Boosting, learning, love it.
Mm.
Understanding and trust, building trust. Okay. Communication. If I've missed anything, let me know. Listening. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what it is not. What is not coaching? And it doesn't, the not coaching doesn't have to be negative, right? It's just not coaching. So what do we have? And I think I had something up here earlier. So I'm just going to jump back. It's not therapy. Okay. What else do we have here, folks? Not counseling. Not advice. Giving or getting advice for sure, not therapy. Ordering people to do things. Giving, commanding. So these are great words. What I want to share with you is that it's really quite a distinction. We want to draw the line right down the middle. What is coaching, what is not? At the end of the day, coaching, not coaching involves telling. Okay? And not coaching involves coaching involves asking. So those are the two differentiators that we really want to point out here. Um, Anything to do with telling, it's just telling. We can share information with people, we can solve problems, we can give people advice, we can mentor, but it's just not coaching. So when we think about what is coaching, the opposite is there, the asking part. Asking people to think, asking people to come up with their own ideas, asking people to identify what's important, asking people what their strengths are, asking people what their ideas are. So we're trying to give the coachee a chance to do the work. They're the ones working hard. We talked about this a little bit last time. Not coaching is coming from a place of I know, coming from a place of I'm the expert. I know I've got all the answers. I'm going to help you. I'm going to do it for you. Sometimes we end up taking over. At coaching, on the other hand, is coming from a place of not knowing. And it doesn't mean that we don't know. It just means that we believe that the coachee is the expert. Okay, it's not about us. Does that work for everybody? Does that make sense? Thumbs up. Okay. All right, so let me just go back into the slides here. See if I can get there. So that's what I wanted to start with. There's a big distinction between what is coaching and what is not. And when even with you and the people in your house, when people come to you in your house, if you've got kids or family members and they ask you, you know, Bevan, can you help me? What should I do here? Sure, Bevan has ideas and answers, but the opportunity is to say, well, what do you think? What are your thoughts? So we're going to start with the premise of honoring the other person's expertise, honoring the other person's intelligence, so that we can demonstrate we believe in them. Okay. I think about the leaders that I've had, and we had the word inspiring up earlier. How many of you have had somebody who's inspired you? Right? A leader, it's inspired you, a teacher, a friend, somebody who's inspired you. What did they do to inspire you? And that's a big question, and everybody will have a little bit of a different answer on that. But when I think about it, the people that have inspired me the most, they believed in me more than I believed in me. And so that's kind of the premise of coaching, is believing that the other person has the answers. Okay. Um, let's actually, I'm just gonna wait to share this. So here's the coaching principles, and we'll just go through each one of these just to remind you it's a mindset. We're trying to set the stage for somebody else. So our first priority is to create trust and safety. And so does anyone have any ideas on how that might go? Creating a trust and safety with someone. So just keep that in mind as we go through this. So people need to feel safe to be able to want to share their ideas, to be able to speak um, freely, to feel safe to share their ideas and thoughts. So creating trust and safety is our number one. Focusing on the coachee. Oh, what's this? Speaking language. Sorry, I just got a pop up here about, um, I'll be speaking in English. Okay. Sorry about that. Just a pop up. So creating trust and safety, we have to remember to focus on the coachee's agenda, the coachee's ideas. We have to show that we believe in them. We have and we can be curious at the same time, and we can give ownership. So those are the things that matter from a mindset of coaching. As we go through each one of these, you'll see an opportunity to what can we say to someone to create safety and trust. And this means that we're actively intentionally partnering with the coachee to build a trusting relationship, create a safe environment. Does anyone have any ideas on that? What can we do? What can we say to someone to build trust and safety? Does anyone have any ideas? And we'll just, you can put it in the chat or you can use your voice. What would we be doing? What would we be doing? So I've come to you, I'm knocking on your door. I'm asking, could you help me with this? I need your advice. I need your guidance. What should I do? And then we're going to respond. Okay, here's one. I understand what you're feeling right now. Okay, so we're letting the person know that we understand them and we're here for them. We might also say, what's on your mind? What would you like to talk about? What's important to you today? How can I support you? How can I help you? What would you need from me? So what we want to do is make sure that we're not jumping in and taking over. We're giving the opportunity to the other person so that they feel safe. Okay, so that's our first step. Um, we might also say, you know what, everything you tell me is confidential. I'm here to support you. So it's all about the other person. Okay, appreciation, engaging the coachee, validation. Yeah, letting them know. So creating trust is one thing. The next thing is, how do we show that we're totally focused on the other person, intentionally focusing on the coachee's goal, their agenda, and their success. Does anyone have anything that you can put in the chat that we might say to demonstrate to the person we're talking to that we're focused on them? Does anybody have any thoughts? The honesty, but spare time for them. I've set aside time for you. So that's even an example of, you know what, I'm focused on you. Everything else, nothing else matters right now, just you. I'm focused on what you need. So we might say to them, what would you like to talk about today? What is your goal for today? What is working? What is not working? What would you like to get from our conversation today? So we might ask questions just to get the person started, demonstrating that we believe in them. Okay. Let's see here. If you don't feel comfortable sharing, this is okay for sure. Let them know that. Active listening, show understanding, no judgment. Okay, no distraction. So 100% focused on them. So part of this one is, what is your goal? What do you want? What's important? And then the next one that we want to focus on is show that we believe in the person, right? So we want to listen intentionally for the coach's knowledge, their capability and potential. The who, and we brought that up in our last session. How do we listen below the waterline and listen for the who? And sometimes when people are in a tough spot, they forget who they are and they forget about their capabilities. They forget about their strengths. So we want to be able to help shine the light on their strengths, their capability, remind them, who they are and what they're all about, so that they can actually be the ones to move themselves forward. So hold people capable. And probably everybody's heard the term hold people accountable. How many of you have heard that term? Hold people accountable. That's part of our language, right? And we hold people accountable in the workplace. We hold people accountable in our life. in our house. Coaching's about holding people capable. So that means that we believe in them first. So that means that we're going to say, well, what are your thoughts? What are your ideas? What do you think? Before we jump in with our ideas and thoughts, we give them a chance. We're curious, we ask questions, and our whole objective here is to engage the person to think and find solutions. So what might we say here to demonstrate that we're curious and we want to get them thinking? What's an example here? For those of you who were with us last time, we talked about a book by Simon Sinek, and the title of the book is Leaders Eat Last. So, even if we're not a formal leader, we're a leader at all levels. Everyone's a leader. And so if we want to get the other person thinking, all we have to do is ask a question, right? It only takes a few seconds. What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? What do you know? What needs to change? What is an opportunity? What's possible here? So we're going to facilitate this person to brainstorm out loud, to think out loud. What's your take? Yeah, that's a great one. Brian's, what is your take on this? What do you think you might need to do differently? We're going to try to get that brain working and invite the person to work hard so that we're not the ones solving the problem. The next one here, the last one here is, yeah, you know what? This is such a great question. Sifa put in here, what would you tell a person going through the same? That's a beautiful back pocket question. That's one I always have in my back pocket. I'm going to pull it out whenever I need to. And, what advice would you give someone else on this? What would you tell yourself? Imagine yourself in, a year down the road. What would you want? What would you have wanted the person to know? Okay, so those are really important. Let's see here. And then the last one here is transferring ownership. This is probably the hardest one, to transfer ownership, to let go of having ideas and answers, and let go of being the expert, and let go of helping the person, right? We want to support people, help them help themselves, so that we want to give them the keys to the house, right? We're transferring ownership and giving it back to them. There's a expression we use in the coaching world is give the monkey back. And so there's think about having a monkey on your back. And I think we talked about this last time. The monkey represents the problem, and somebody's coming to you and they've got a monkey on their back. And you can see the monkey there, and it's a cute monkey. Pretty soon, as humans, we take the monkey, and now we're the ones that are working hard. So that's just a metaphor analogy, just a visual, just to remember, don't take their monkey. Let them work through it themselves so that they can have and the more people work through things themselves, that actually stimulates our brain, the happiness chemicals, and we get engaged and excited, and we're proud of ourselves, and that shifts us. It shifts us into a different place. So I just wanted to share that concept with you, is, hold people capable, demonstrate that you believe in them. And how can we do that? We can ask questions, because the whole idea is supporting them to find their wings and to take flight. I shared a story last time where, how does the butterfly get out of its chrysalis, its little home? And it actually has to move. It has to, we don't say fight, but it has to kind of break out. And once it breaks out, it's starting to develop its muscles in its wings. It didn't have wings before. Now they're going to dry here. And if we as humans interfere with nature, we take away the opportunity for that butterfly to fly. So if we step in to help the butterfly and think that it's struggling, and we jump in and we want to take over, that doesn't help them, right? They won't be able to fly. My sister, I was at my sister's last night, and she is a teacher, and they were raising ducks in her classroom. So she had 9 little ducklings that were a little just a week old, and they were moving around, but the idea was the kids got to see the duckling come out of its shell, right? And we don't help the ducklings come out of the shell. We watch them because they break out, and that they come out when they're ready. If we interfere, if the teacher interferes and helps kind of break the egg because we think the duckling is struggling, then that duckling doesn't get to build its muscle. So, those are just a couple of things to think about. Let me just go next. Okay, so I'm going to share a video with you, and we're going to listen to somebody who has a personal dilemma. And part of what we're doing here is this is somebody that maybe might coach. It's a colleague, it's a friend who's experiencing a personal dilemma. And let's see here, continue to share. So I want you to just listen. Remember, we talked about coaching as listening, and we're going to potentially ask questions, but the first thing we're going to do is listen. So let's listen to this person. And what I want you to do is just jot down what you hear. Write down what you're hearing.
Do you think they did this to you?
Sorry, back one. Here we go.
Hey, Don, I got your text. Welcome back to the team.
Hi, Peter.
So what's on your mind?
Thanks. I'm happy to be back. And thanks for making time, Peter. I guess I need some leadership advice, and I know you've been through this before. I wish my head was in a better place, but I just can't stop thinking about how unfair this past year has been versus the exciting learning experience that it was supposed to be. I can't help feeling angry, and I know I should be grateful for the opportunity, but it wasn't fair to anyone. At the end of the day, I guess you could say it was a good learning experience, but I still feel disappointed. Later today, I have to meet with Gary and the VP and debrief the highlights of my acting experience, as well as my learnings as a senior leader. I want to show my gratitude, but also deliver the message that this process was unacceptable, and that I felt let down. However, I know that they will want to hear about my successes and learnings and not my concerns. I really don't want to disappoint them, but I don't know. I am worried that I won't be able to control my anger, and my message will go against me for future opportunities. They may question whether I actually meet the requirements for senior leadership. I know that they saw me as a future senior leader, and I was selected for this growth opportunity to prepare me for a senior role. I'm just not sure how to approach the meeting without derailing my future. What do you think I should do? What would you do?
Okay. So that's a dilemma, right? This person, Donna, she has a dilemma. She's come to you, and you're her friend, and she's come to you for what she thinks is advice. Now, how many of you give advice? And I can't see everybody. It would be lovely to see your faces if you guys want to turn on your cameras. And so I can see thumbs up or thumbs down. So let's see here. Okay. So we have opinions, right? We talked about the duck last time. We have this quacking duck in our head that anytime somebody tells us something, it activates our brain and we start going quack, 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 quack. I know, I'm an expert, I know. And so the quacking duck is always going to be there. And so what we're trying to do from a coaching perspective is to quieten down those ducks so that we can actually hear the human and what they're talking about. So let's put in the chat then. What did you hear Donna say? What did you hear? So please put a number of you, please put some things in the chat. Okay, so we heard. Let's see here. Okay, so let's see what we've got in the chat. And if you want to help me out, Bevan, let's hear.
Absolutely can do. Our first
Okay.
answer was from Chloe, who saw some concern from our colleague in the video.
Okay, concern. What else did you hear, folks?
We heard possible complaints about not having a desired position.
Okay.
We had
Fear.
fear.
Okay, concern. What else, folks?
I thought that there was some self-doubt expressed.
Self-doubt. What did she say? It wasn't not fair. She said it was she was angry. Okay. So those are things that are really easy for our brains to hear because we can relate to that. We can put ourselves in her shoes and think, you know what, I would be upset too. And we can all relate to the situation. Frustration's another one. If we want to listen from a coaching perspective, that means that we're shifting. We're listening a little bit differently. And we talked a little bit about this last time. How do we shift our brain to be able to hear things that were maybe hidden below the waterline? Okay, so what else did you hear that was maybe positive? So she's got ownership of her concern. She didn't want to anger people. What else could we say? She was grateful. There were some grateful pieces. She learned a great learning opportunity. They saw her as a senior leader. She took responsibility. So our brain actually listens as we do as humans. We listen for kind of what's wrong, who's to blame, why it doesn't work. That's what we get activated in. And then we get into this place with the person that we're listening to or talking with, where we're acknowledging the kind of the victim piece of their story. What we're not acknowledging is their capabilities that are maybe hidden below the waterline. So we're not acknowledging that she has ownership, that she doesn't want to anger people. She's grateful. This was a great learning opportunity. They saw her as a leader. She took responsibility. So, if we're in this place with her, our tendency is to say, well, why do you think? And actually, I'm going to show you. Here's what our brain as humans want to do. So I'm going to just show you what he says here. Peter, here's how Peter responds to that.
Hey, Don, I got your text. Welcome back to the team. Why do you think they did this to you?
Sorry.
Why do you think they did this to you?
I think that they just thought I wouldn't say anything and would still get the work done.
Okay, does that make sense? Can everybody relate to that duck that's like, why would they do this to you? Right? And then she's starting to make up more of her story. So let's see what else.
I'm sorry you had to go through this.
Oh, goodness.
Why do you think they did this to you?
I think that they just thought I wouldn't say anything and would
I'm
still
sorry you
get
had
the
to go
work
through
done.
this, Donna.
Okay, sorry, you guys. I'm just gonna stop the share for a second. It's not cooperating with me. So I'm just gonna make this bigger. So this is the one we're listening to right now. Okay.
Why do you think they did this to you?
I think that
I'm sorry. This is not good. This, oh my goodness. Okay. So we've already heard this one. Right? We've already heard this one. Okay. So we're going to hear this one now. My apologies. Oh my goodness.
Why do you think they did this to you?
I think that they just thought I wouldn't say anything.
Oh, probably can't see that either, can you? Oh my goodness. Bear with me. Okay, here we go.
Why do you think they did this to you?
So remember
I
the
think that
duck.
they just thought I wouldn't say anything and would still get the work done. I never caused any trouble, and they likely saw me as a safe option. Who wouldn't challenge them?
Why are they being so unfair?
I keep thinking about this, and it has something to do with me being young and inexperienced. They knew they could take advantage of me, and I would just do what needed to be done. Maybe they used me so they could save some money. They only care about the bottom line.
Do you think they were testing you?
Absolutely. They must have been testing me and seeing if I could actually do the job. They obviously didn't care about the impact on me. They wanted the work to get done and expected a superhuman. I wonder if I even passed the test.
Do you think they wanted you to fail?
I don't know. That's a good question. I hope they wouldn't want to see me fail. However, now that you mention it, maybe they did want me to fail so I could be eliminated from future opportunities.
Are you ready for the pressure of a senior leadership role?
I thought I was, but now I don't know. If all senior roles are like this, then maybe I'm not right for the job.
Do they pay you enough to do this job?
No way. I was doing 2 or 3 jobs and had to work evenings and weekends. I didn't even have a family or social life for the past year. It was all work, and the expectations were so demanding.
Why would you want to work for them if they treated you this way?
Yeah, I really need to ask myself this question. I thought it would be such a great opportunity to learn, but I didn't realize that I would be doing my old job and filling in for the vacancies.
Why do you care so much about disappointing them? They disappointed you.
Okay, so that's all we'll do with this. But what did you notice here, folks? What happened to Peter? What happened to Peter? So think about, so he made her doubt herself. So he actually he was building off of what she shared with him above that water line, right? And so let's just see what I've put here. Maybe we can get it back. Is it working out? Right here. So he was asking her questions about all of the stuff that she provided, right? Her concerns, she's feeling that it's not fair. She's feeling angry. So he's asking her more questions about that. And what that actually ends up doing is creates that downward spiral, right? He's actually asking her questions that get her more upset, that get her more using her, not using her brain, but her old brain, the amygdala hijack. She is in a threat mode. And so that's all coming out now. Instead of trying to acknowledge who she is, right? This who underneath the waterline. If we can acknowledge who she is and remind her that she's got all these great qualities and these strengths, then we have a better chance of her being successful. So let's go back in and see what he says in the next one. And if you can't hear it, I will turn the volume up a little bit. I saw that in the chat. So here we go.
That's who I am. I care about people.
Why do you think they did this to you?
I think that they just thought I wouldn't say anything and would still get.
Yeah, it's not working out for me for some reason. Let's try this one.
I'm sorry you had to go through this, Donna. I'm hearing strong feelings of anger, disappointment, and being treated unfairly. And I also heard a desire to overcome these feelings and to focus on the future and the learnings you have from the acting experience. This is a tough spot to be in. Looking forward, what would your overall goal be for yourself?
I know that I need to be able to move myself through this, both personally and professionally. My current headspace is not going to help me.
So, for today's conversation, what would you like to achieve moving forward and managing your headspace, both personally and professionally?
I think
Okay, so do you see the difference, folks? What's the difference that we notice here? What do you folks see? Peter asks critical questions to delve deeper into the concern previously, and now this one is leading her to be more self-aware on one hand. Oh, the previous one was about subtly putting blame on her. Now Chloe's put in here forward thinking, right? He's got her into a different space. Now he's helped her interrupt that threat place, and now she's remembering all about, who she is and what she's about. He makes her go through the negativity and brings out the positives, right? Shining the light. He shows more compassion and empathy as well. He acknowledged her feelings from the start to avoid a further spiral. He's showing empathy. So that's a shift. That's a mindset shift we choose to make as humans. So that's the coach approach. The coach approach is not commiserating with somebody's story and making her feel worse about putting the blame on her. Coaching's about acknowledging it. You know what? This was a tough place to be. So it's not about ignoring it. And, I'm also hearing that you you were grateful. You've had a learning experience, and now we can support someone to shift a little bit more. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to everybody. It's really just a matter of mindset. And our mindset is really what's leading at any moment, anytime, anywhere. Okay, so I'm going to take you through an exercise now. We're going to see what we can do to support her. So we're going to learn a coach approach, and we're also going to learn how we function as just normal humans. Okay, so if you can get ready to jot things down in the chat, we're going to think about what she said to us, right? So we heard her, and let's just use my phone here. Okay, so I wish my head was in a better place, but I just can't stop thinking about how unfair the past year has been versus exciting learning experience it was supposed to be. So what would be something that we could say that actually would keep her in a threat place where she's not happy? She's, you heard him ask some of those questions. I'll give you kind of a hint for this one. You How unfair was this? So if we ask about how unfair, we're going to get more of that story. If we say, why is your head not in a good place? We're going to get more about that. Okay, but if we could shift ourselves, then we can ask a question that really gets her into a different place. So let's think about what we could ask her that would help her move forward. Does anyone have any thoughts on what question we could ask her that would be a coaching question that would help her move forward based on what she's told us over here? I wish my head was in a better place. What could we say there? Get her thinking out loud. I think we've got something in the chat here. Do you see any positive sides of the situation? Yeah. So what are some of the positives in this from this experience? Does that make sense to everyone? So that's just throwing it out there and getting her to, oh, you know what? Yeah, there were some positives. And then getting her thinking about, okay, I wish my head was in a better place. Okay, so what would being in a better place look like? So now what we've done is we've taken her words, her breadcrumbs, and asked about the better place. what would that look like? We could ask, exciting learning experience it was supposed to be. Okay, so what was exciting about this learning experience that you participated in? So we can ask questions. She gave us some of the stuff. We're going to try to use it and support her forward. Okay, let's go to this next one and see what we can say. I can't help feeling angry, and I know I should be grateful for the opportunity, but it wasn't fair to anyone. What would we ask based on what she told us here? We're only going to use this piece right here from number 3. What could we ask? Coming from a place of coaching, what could we ask that would help her move forward? Oh, there's some good things in the chat here too. Okay, so Teresa put in the last one here was, what learning opportunities have you undertaken? So now let's just ask her about these opportunities. Let's just ask her because she's going to tell us. She's going to have a response. So instead of saying, what are you angry about? Over here, that starts to bring her in that downward spiral, right? Why would you be grateful? What was the most unfair thing about this? So those all live here. But if we want to get her into more of a coaching mindset, we're going to say, what opportunities have you had in the past year? There's some other really cool things in here, Bevan. What has been out of your control this year? So that one goes over on this side, right? And what is still in your control? That's more of a give back the ownership, give the person a chance to do the thinking. And then, Teresa, what you brought up here, and I want to ask when the last time you took a break from work. Are you taking your leave? You seem stressed and overwhelmed. So that's something that we can definitely do. Show concern and empathy and compassion. And that's more coming from a place of just being a friend or something. But if we have a coaching mindset, we're going to try to support her to do what you said in the second one, right? What learning opportunities have you had? Where do you see your next job taking you? Shouldn't her, yes, of course, yeah. You know what? Shouldn't her mental health be important as well? What about yes. You know what? If there is, you can see Chloe's comments in there. If there is a mental health concern or if there is some personal issues or challenges, absolutely, we'd want to do this. Please just look at this as just an example for trying to build off of her words versus because we can always do that. We can always advise and give support because I'm sure the UN has support for folks. But let's say that she didn't have a mental health concern, we want to get her thinking. We want to get her moving forward. So Chloe's points are well noted and well taken. Okay. And we may have to step out of coaching and support her in that way. So let's try this next one. At the end of the day, I guess you could say it was a good learning experience, but I still feel disappointed. So what question would we ask that would take her kind of into the negative? What question could we ask here? We could ask, what are you disappointed about? Right? And that would continue to fuel that story. And one of the things that happens to us as humans is it's a story we're telling ourselves. And so if we ask questions like that feed into that narrative, then we're going to get more information from her. So Shaden Ali said, what did you say here? Where did it go? Okay, so great. Why was it a good learning experience? So now what we've done is we've shifted her into, let's talk about that good learning experience. How can it be better? And then into the negative, what are you disappointed about? She's manipulating her mind and self-gaslighting. Everything in life is a learning experience. It's not up to your workplace to make them painful, for sure. So you know, what question would you ask so that we can support her forward? Nigella. Okay, so how do you feel? And you know, we know how she feels, right? So at the moment so if we ask that question, we may get more of this. But if we say, how do you want to feel? You know, then we have a slight opening for her to shift into a different place. Okay, so that's all we're trying to do is support her to kind of calm down her brain so that the threat response is not taking over, and just get her thinking brain back online. Like, what can she do with the situation that she's had? And then just a real quick one here. Later today, I have to meet with Gary and the VP just to debrief the highlights of my acting experience as well as my learnings as a senior leader. Okay. And we might say, well, what are you worried about? What are you worried about? You know, that's going to be a hard meeting. So we could facilitate more of the negative thinking, or we could say, okay, so what were the highlights of your acting experience? What were your learnings as a senior leader? So remember that we have a choice to make ourselves, that we basically get what we ask for. So if we ask for what's wrong, who's to blame, why it doesn't work, that's what we're going to get from that person. But if we say, what's the opportunity? What can you learn? What's important here? Then we have a better chance of supporting her in a productive way forward. I'll just do one more here. I want to demonstrate my gratitude, but also deliver the message that this process was unacceptable. Okay, so we're going to ask here, so what was so unacceptable? Why did you feel let down? Why do you still have all these concerns? Why don't you just want to disappoint them? Versus, what are you grateful for? And what were some of your successes? And, you know, how can you share your message and not disappoint them, right? At the same time. So we're going to ask questions that kind of shift someone from to. Um, this one here, I'm worried I won't be able to control my anger and the message will go against me. Okay, so how can you control your anger so the message doesn't go against you for future opportunities? They may question whether I actually meet the expectations. How do you meet the expectations to be a senior leader in the future? So we're just going to try to use our brain so that we don't get hooked into the drama and dilemma of the story that she's telling. I hope that makes sense to everybody. You know, it's a real different way of thinking. It's a real different way of showing up for humans. The whole idea is that we're giving people their power back, giving them a chance to, you know, learn and grow versus, you know, we have all been in the pit before, right? We've all been on the judger path where we're thinking to ourselves, whose fault is this? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with them? Why am I such a failure? Why are they so stupid? Why bother? Those are just normal things as having a human brain that starts us off on judger. It doesn't mean it's judgmental, but we start off on judging ourselves or judging the situation or judging the person we're talking to, and we just get stuck. And we can't get ourselves off of this very often. We need help from somebody to kind of interrupt that. So if you can think about, if you ask questions like, well, why were you disappointed? Why do you think this was unfair? What was the, why are you angry? then we're just actually fueling her judger mindset, and we're pushing her into more of the pit. And that's this is a hard place to get out of. Versus if we were to say, you know what, I'm hearing, this is a tough place to be. What did you learn? What are you grateful for? Now we're starting to support her to switch lanes and think about it from a positive perspective. So I hope that makes sense to everybody. This is all about just a different mindset that we can bring, but everyone's human. So chances are we're going to jump into the negative. We're going to be on judger path more often than not, and we don't even know it. Non-consciously, our default is to focus on what's wrong, who's to blame, why it doesn't work. And you know what the funny thing about that is that we love drama as humans, right? We actually live for it. We look for it in movies and shows, and we get hooked, and we're curious, but we also want to help, right? The people get unstuck. So sometimes we help too much. I think that's all I have. We're at the top of the hour. See if I've got anything else that I wanted to share. All right. So I guess I'll just end with this. We talked about it last time, but it's like, why am I talking? Try to quiet down the ducks so that you're not taking over. You're not coming from a place of expert. You don't have to solve their problem. Give them a chance to think about it for themselves. Do we want to take any questions? I'll turn it back to you, Bevan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just for the sake of time, we may move on to some conclusions. But wow, that was exceptional, Shana. Thank you so much. Colleagues, please, I'm sure that you will join me in thanking Shana so much for that presentation. I have been taking some notes as we go along. There was so much that was new to me in that. There was so much that challenged my thinking. To me, the sort of main theme that keeps coming back to me more and more is this sort of art of the question, that is so important to this coaching strategy and this coaching mindset that you've developed and that you share with others. We want to ask questions that avoid continued negative thinking. We want to connect our coachees' strengths and their opportunities towards further action. What's next? This has happened. What's going to happen next? What can I do? Empowering the coachee. Listening beneath the waterline was a key element, that we're coaching people, not problems. And that I love the concept of the monkey. We want to give that monkey back to the coachee. We've got our own monkeys. Monkeys can be heavy. So we want to stimulate our coachees so that they can think and that they can reach the solutions to their own problems. We do not want our questions to continue down this path of negative thinking. We don't want to listen to that self-doubt duck. Is your friend the self-doubt duck? Does he have a name? Your friend that you've got with you?
Good idea. I'm gonna have to name him. What are some ideas for my duck? I don't have a name for my duck, but I'm going to name him.
Maybe
I
Doubting
will.
Doris, something like
Doubting
that.
Doris. The Doubting Doris duck. I love it.
Absolutely. And colleagues, remember these coaching skills are not just for supervisors, for HR specialists, for dedicated coaches. We're not all dedicated coaches all the time. These strategies are universal. They're for empowering your colleagues, your friends, your loved ones with these questions that build trust, builds your relationship, nourishes your relationship. So I think these are universal skills, and I've certainly taken a lot away. As we're concluding, I'd just like to quickly, my colleagues, my friends, remind you of a couple things before we head off. Number one, as we're doing our thank yous, I'd like to remind you that the recording for the last session and for this session is going to be on the eCampus website, and will also be available for everyone. So please log on to eCampus and see that. I will, in just a moment here, send you that link. The other thing that I would like to flag is that we happen to have, as United Nations volunteers, we have our own coaching initiative. I'm going to invite all of you, please, to head on to eCampus to have a look at the UN Volunteer Coaching Initiative. I'm sending that link first in the chat. Here it comes. Have a look there. Please read carefully the eligibility requirements. It gives you a little bit more information about the program, and there are tens of coaches there for you to engage with. I doubt any of them have any ducks, but if they do, then we'll have to refer them to Shana. That might be, maybe it's patented. I'm not sure. There could be conflicts there.
We all have ducks. We all have ducks.
And I'll also share with you, colleagues, the Coaching Masterclass eCampus page. Please go and see the recording if you'd like to review the session. That's coming into the chat right now. And then one final thing that I will share with you, my friends, before we head off today is the post-session evaluation page. Now, I would be very grateful if all of you could take the time over the next week, 2 weeks, whatever it is, whenever you get a chance, it'll take you 3 minutes. Fill out this coaching evaluation, or this session evaluation, I should say. We'd love to know your feedback. We'd love to know things you'd like to see in future. So that's coming into the chat right now. Okay. Thank you all so much for this session. I'd like to thank you again, Shana. Thank you so much for providing this to us. Thank you, colleagues, for participating actively. It's beautiful to see all of your faces. I'll officially bring this